Hello everyone, and welcome to the Evil Elevator. Today we'll be discussing one of the strangest, most peculiar horror movies I've seen in all my life, going down. Our world is full of technology, machines, gizmos, now more than ever. Why, you can hardly walk down the street without seeing someone crash their Cybertruck due to their Apple Vision Pro lobotomizing them too early. Technology and horror have been linked for as long as they've both existed. More recently, we've had Lee Winnell's Upgrade and way too many episodes of Black Mirror, but you can even go all the way back to the original Twilight Zone with A Thing About Machines or The Fever. And decades upon decades ago, back in 2001, there was a distinct fear around the newfangled invention of the day. The moving machine, soon known as the elevator, would have been like the cavemen discovering fire to these ancient peoples. Down follows Naomi Watts as reporter Jennifer Evans and James Marshall as an elevator repair technician. Working together, they investigate the mysterious deaths in New York City's Millennium Building. This takes them down a rabbit hole of lies, scandal, and even murder. It is also one of the most insane films I've ever seen.
1 out of every 10 passengers doesn't get out of an elevator alive.
Horror obviously has a reputation for the extreme. Sex, violence, and damn near everything else in the taboo have been hallmarks of the genre forever. A lot of people outside the genre think this taboo always manifests in something like Cannibal Holocaust, a combination of two of our worst words. But what makes me love Down so much is the taboo of genuine insanity. Violent match cuts, a new crazy character every 90 seconds, and some of the most inexplicable ADR I've ever heard. All with a late 90s, early 2000s polish, before the grime and grit of the Saws and Hostels moved in the post-9/11 era of horror. Down is a blockbuster popcorn bucket horror movie, a perfect watch for a party this season or any other, with nearly every scene being a vignette of hilarity, violence, or probably both. Down isn't exactly what you would call a bottle episode like Cube or the bottle episode of Community, but it is incredibly set in its setting. I am so good at words, it's embarrassing. Down feels like the best bottle episodes in the way it explores every possible idea of its premise. An elevator horror movie. From bullying a soy jack elevator guard,
hey, if I tell you to stay open, stay open!
To even attempted child murder. Oh shoot, that's not very funny. Child moida! One of my favorite parts of Down is literally every single character. Evil blind men, Ron Perlman, even weirdly ADR New York guys.
What are you trying to pull?
What's the problem?
3 hamburgers, $24. What? You think I am too dumb to notice?
I'm sorry, that's a mistake.
Like, I'm not crazy, right? That sounds weird, right? Down has great horror moments, but what I love most about it is these characters, these absurd moments that make it feel like its own original movie. I mean, it isn't. It's a remake of a Dutch movie following the same plot, which is insane. How would this movie even work in Dutchland? Do they have buildings big enough for elevators? Dutchians, please invent a real language and get back to me. Thank you. We meet our leading man when he oversleeps for work, which is relatable. I'm also a lazy piece of shit. And Naomi Watts is our leading lady, with her talking to the nerd from Ghostbusters.
Chip!
What?
My computer's acting weird.
You mean like me when I asked you out?
Worse.
Impossible.
He is me, as I am him. My spiritual sibling of the silver screen. Together, this technician and reporter investigate a mystery that goes all the way to the top. Now please, enter your mind palace and imagine a perfectly normal day in New York City. I'll set the scene. Now, I know what you're thinking. These are the coolest guys in the world. They'll never die. I'm so sorry.
Took a wrong turn or what?
Jesus! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
In Down, there is hardly a moment where I'm not either laughing or gasping in disbelief at the screen. There's also just randomly, genuinely compelling and interesting filmmaking. Like, these skate stunts are fantastic and really impressive. They clearly put a lot of time and effort into getting that right. There's also this line. There are really well-known techniques in horror filmmaking where you can make your audience believe they've seen more violence than they actually have. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre being the most famous example. This is usually done by cutting away from the subject of the violence and onto something else that evokes a similar image. In the case of Texas Chainsaw, typically cutting to raw meat. And Down does one of the most insane examples of this I've ever seen, when a group of pregnant women are panicking, trapped in an ever-heating elevator. Now, for a split second there, everyone I've shown this movie, which has been all of my friends that I was able to kidnap, think that they are seeing a baby cook on the floor of the elevator, which is kinda crazier than if they had just done that. All of Down is available on YouTube for free. It isn't the best quality. If you want that, you'll have to go over to Shudder, but they're not sponsoring me. So it's also available on YouTube for free. You'll see there that it was originally going to be called The Shaft, which is a much different sounding movie. I've said it over and over, but the dialogue is absolutely hilarious. Too genuinely good for me to throw this movie onto the so bad it's good pile.
Now, we spent years establishing the fact that elevators are one of the safest means of transportation. I mean, hell, we have to. We live in a vertical world. If you can't trust elevators, what the fuck can you trust?
I'm a little worried that this video is just gonna be me going, wasn't that crazy, over and over. How many people do you think would have to die in an elevator accident for the President of the United States to declare it a terrorist attack? Let's find out.
1, 2, 3.
At one point, the Millennium Building elevator goes so fast that the bottom of it shatters. It breaks through the top of the building and even ejects a young man's piss from his own body. While the first 2 acts of the movie are centered around the investigation with Naomi Watts and the technician hunting down the real gritty truth of what's behind these killings,
I think that elevator's haunted.
Sure, why not?
the third act is an insanely hilarious military strike on the elevators, as they are suspected of themselves being behind the attack. This is also correct. The elevators may not be haunted, but even worse, they have become sentient themselves, fused with the mind of a mad elevatorman. Gunther Steinberg was a scientist working on the elevators in the Millennium Building, making self-replicating biological chips based on dolphin brains. How this would be beneficial to elevators, I am not sure. But when the project was cancelled, obviously, Steinberg decided to use the only brains more evil than dolphin for his experiments. Human. German human, specifically. The attack on the brain elevator is another great sequence that shows off how well this movie uses its setting. In the earlier parts of the movie, the sun shines over the New York City streets, warming the loose trash bags and dead rats to a fragrant aroma. But as we move closer and closer to the climax, much like if this were still The Shaft, it gets darker and wetter. The last act is confined to the tight corners and back service rooms of the Millennium Building, complete with a perfectly early 2000s green tint. I don't really know how to smoothly segue into the next plot point, but the elevator is killed by a bazooka. I truly don't know how to capture the pure insanity of Down, a horror I discovered late this summer that I don't think I've gone a day without thinking about. I don't talk about horror movies much, but I would love to more. Besides like everything in the general nerd sphere, except for the nerd shit, horror is probably my favorite type of art. I talk about Junji Ito's manga pretty frequently, but manga is such a tiny side of the whole world of horror. I would love to talk about more heavily studioed horror like this, but the weirder the better for me, frankly. I made a members video a long time ago on Ghost Watch that you can actually go check out on Casual Lounge Room, but Ghost Watch, that's basic shit. Everyone and their mom knows Ghost Watch. I need to talk about hit Australian horror film The 13th Floor.
You can go there.
Folks, thank you so much for going down this rabbit hole of an insane film with me. I love Down. I think that is absolutely nuts. And I would love to talk about more horror stuff, like I said. So, we'll see how this video does. And, hey, if you have an idea for a horror movie or TV show I could cover, leave it down in the comments. But that is the video for this week, y'all. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching that video. If you made it to this point, a special double thank you as always. Thank you so much. Down is a really fun horror movie. I found it like towards the end of summer, and just like, it's just a nice movie to go to sleep to, you know? I found it with that Australian movie, The 13th Floor. That one is way weirder, but also, like, I can't find it, like, on YouTube. So, like, I'm gonna have to, like, download that movie if I want to talk about it. But what I have to show up for my collection this week is, this is something I got a little bit ago. My friend got me it for my birthday, actually, so thank you, friend. This is Haikyuu Volume 17. I've, like, watched up to this point in Haikyuu and, like, past it. But, yeah, this is the farthest I have in the manga so far. This ends out the, Alba Josai game. So, very cool. The second Alba Josai game. So, I'm very excited. I know how it ends, but it ends cool. I don't want to spoil it in any way, shape, or form. But I will see y'all next time. Goodbye.